Episode 37 of the Loose and Groovy Baseball Show. It was supposed to be it was episode 36 last week. I accidentally said 37 in the intro. But episode 37, we are coming to the end of the MLB season. We're recording this on Friday the 20th, Saturday the 20th, and next weekend is the last one. So we're really coming to a close here. Lots of interesting things going on. Kind of wrapping up the season here. Really jam-packed episode, looking at some underrated seasons, looking at all the guys that hit 30 home runs this season and also talking about Parker's Tigers because they're in quite an interesting predicament right now with the Cleveland Guardians on their tail. So we'll get into all of that. But first, we're going to flip roles this week and get back into some rally time. Except I'm going to be answering the questions this time. So
Oh yeah.
there we go. I'm a little crooked here.
Oh boy.
What do you got a Tigers one this week?
I had a different no, this is just a random
Oh,
red.
that works.
I need to make it a little bigger.
I'm a little crooked over here, but I think it'll work for the time being.
Okay, so anyways, so now it's my turn to be asking the questions. So just to give a little rundown of how the game works, Trav, you can correct me on any of these if you want, because you were the one that came up with this game. So you need to score 2 runs and you have 4 at-bats. Your first at-bat is for a single, second is for a double, third is to hit a triple, and fourth is to hit a home run. Each question gets progressively harder. So you have 4 at-bats to score those 2 runs. And I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I think that's what you gave me last week. So you
Cool.
can't just sit there and just ponder
Yep.
forever. So we can get right into it. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So your first question to be hitting a single is I want you to name the home run leader in each league.
Okay, I think in the American League, it's Cal. And then in the National League, I'm pretty sure it's Schwarber.
That's correct.
Okay.
So would you be able to, this doesn't make a difference in terms of the game, but do you know how many for each of these guys?
I think Cal just hit his 56th the other
Correct.
night. And then Schwarber, I want to say, is at 54.
53. So
53.
so
Okay.
pretty good. Okay. So you got a man at first and you got 3 at-bats left. So now this is to hit a double.
Okay.
So I kind of like this one. So there's 3 MLB players that lead the league in blown saves. Name one of them for the double, and or name all 3, and I'll give you a bonus question at the end for a free chance at another home run
Okay. So I need at least one, but then I get a bonus if I get
if
all
you get
three.
all 3. But it's going to be very tough. I will say that.
Okay. Blown saves. I would,
Don't. You can take your time. You have a little bit of time. Don't
yeah.
jump the gun and just throw somebody out there. Because if your first one's wrong, I'm not giving you any more guesses.
Oh, okay, okay. So I need to like get a good first guess, is what you're
You just
saying.
need one of the 3. Yeah.
Okay. Um, well, I'm just thinking out loud here, so not guessing. I
Yeah.
immediately go to Ryan Helsley, who hasn't really been getting save opportunities, but I know he had a couple in St. Louis. Edwin Diaz, I think, is also a decent guess here from the Mets. I would even say Mason Miller is also where I'm going right now. Hmm. Okay. I think because he's been there the whole year with this team, and I know it's been a little bit of up and down, I'm going to say Edwin Diaz for my guess.
You should have trusted your gut. So you're obviously not going to get all 3, so you don't get the free
Okay.
chance, and you don't get the double either. So it's Tanner Scott with
Hmm.
9, Ryan Helsley with 9, and then Greg Weisser with 9.
Is Weiser with Boston?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, Helsley. You look at Diaz, his stats are still good.
Yeah.
Diaz, you kind of have to look more towards like Scott and Helsley's numbers are not there this year. They're like got like a 5 ERA, both of them.
Yeah.
So
And Scott, I mean, Scott probably, you could have convinced me that he has all his blown saves like the past 2 weeks. I feel like every time I see the Dodgers lose, it's Tanner
mhm,
Scott that's in the game.
yeah.
So, okay.
So you got a man at first with a single, and now you got a question for the triple and a question for the home run. You still need 2 runs. If you hit a triple here, it will score 1 run, but
I still need the home run.
either way, you have to either get the triple and home run or just get the
Just
home
the
run.
home run.
So
Okay.
next question. This one's a little tough, so you can take your time on this one.
Okay.
What MLB team has the lowest team OPS?
Lowest team OPS. Okay. So I don't, I don't think it's the Rockies. I don't think it's the Nats. I don't think it's the White Sox. I think Pirates. It could be the Pirates, but we did a Pirates question last week, so part of me doesn't think you would go back to them unless you just thought of it. Um, who else is at the
You're trying to get a
bottom?
reaction on me. You're not going to get nothing.
Okay.
Part of me is
I'm
thinking he's
just
like watching,
staring at you.
like poker
Um,
face over here.
Not the Braves, not the Marlins, Athletics, no. What other teams are towards the bottom of the league? Rockies are the worst. White Sox are second. Pirates aren't terrible. I think I'm gonna guess Pirates. I feel like that's my best guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Finally trusted your gut reaction, dude. Hearing your first guess be the right one and then having you
Just go in
constantly
between all the
second
other
guess
ones.
just drives me nuts. So it's, yes, Pirates at 652. The Guardians have the worst in the AL, second worst
Hmm.
in the MLB, 669. White Sox 675, and then Rockies 687.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so now you have a man at third, so you still need the home run regardless.
Hmm.
So you scored one run, man at third, one more at bat for the home run. This one, it has nothing to do with stats on the baseball field.
Oh, great.
I guess in a way it does, but
Okay.
what National League manager has been ejected the most this season?
Okay. Do I have to say the name? Are you gonna make me say the name? I might not know his name.
You don't have to say the name. Just say a
Okay.
team. The team manager. What team is it?
It's
And wait, hold up, hold up.
okay.
I'm gonna say this. I don't know if you're gonna go here or not. I know we see this a lot, and I always joke about it. Don't guess Don Kelly for the Pirates. Don't guess it
Okay, that's what I was gonna guess.
because it's not Don Kelly.
Okay.
So just I'll take that off the board because I know it might
Okay.
make it obvious, but
Okay. Council Murphy. Um, Cardinals, I don't think. We just said no Pirates. And then the Reds, no, not Francona. Roberts, Padres do, Giants, no. Rockies, no. Diamondbacks, and then Rangers, Angels, Astros, Athletics, and Mariners. Man, I don't
this
think.
is National League, National League.
Oh yeah, okay. So where did I'm missing the NL East. So then Phillies, Nats, maybe Mets. I could see Mendoza to be honest with you. Marlins, Braves, no, no. Uh, who's out of the dugout all the time? I could see Dave Roberts. I could see. Well, if I'm gonna trust my gut, and I think I'm almost out of time, I'll say Carlos Mendoza. That'll be my guess.
So no, you actually it was the Cardinals, Ali Marmol.
Okay, Ollie.
This is really tough. There's a reason why this is the home run one
Yeah,
because
yeah, it's a good question.
we really don't even see. I don't know. I don't see many manager ejections. I feel like anymore. Like it's almost like they're less entertaining than they were before. I don't know why that is,
Yeah.
but so Ali Marmol, 6 ejections in the National League. Boone has 6 in the American League. They both lead. Marmol led last year as well with 6 total, and Boone had 6 last year as well too. So.
Hmm.
But yeah, so
Any of them?
three
Any
of
of
the
them
guy
on
at
the record?
third scored one run. Me and Travis both have yet to win the game in this rally time.
Yeah, we both. I think we both got the single and the triple too, and then we both missed the double and the home run as
Yep.
well. So
Yep.
we'll have to. You'll have to try again next week and get us going on the right path there. Well, that was good. Those were good questions. The manager one, that one is really tricky. That because like you said, you don't really. I feel like I would never know who. Like I think you can think about who's out of the dugout a lot of the time and who you see on the clips and
hmm
everything, but actual ejections I think are kind of a whole different thing.
Don Kelly, in terms of ejection percentage, or if there was some stat for that, what does he have? Like 70 games and like 5 ejections? He's like
All the
right there
time.
too.
It's so I feel like every time I don't know if it's because you make a joke about it every time, but literally I see him out of the dugout all the time chirping about
That's so
whatever.
funny.
All right, well, in light of the season wrapping up, we're going to get into some of the more underrated seasons of the year, players that are not getting talked about as much for whatever reason. Me and Parker both picked out 3 players here we're going to talk about, dive in a little bit deeper into. So I'll give the floor to you, Parker, if you want to give us your first one, and then we can ping pong it back and forth.
Okay. So my first one, and this is, I don't know if this is what sparked us to do this segment, but we both, I just told you, I was like, Trav, just there's one guy, and he's been playing good recently, but overall his season numbers, like he is the most underrated player in the MLB. And we counted down and we ended up picking the same player. So maybe that tells us that he's not underrated if we both pick the
Not
same
anymore.
guy, but I truly do think that he does not get the respect that he deserves. I'm going Geraldo Perdomo for the Diamondbacks. His numbers on the season are insane. He actually leads the National League among position players in WAR with 6.7. Um,
Is that
O-
higher? That's higher than Otani? Or are you just gonna say that?
Otani's is I think it's 6.4 or 6.5, and then if you include pitching, his is higher, but in terms of
Just
just hitting,
okay.
Perdomo has the highest.
Wow.
Um, which 6.7 doesn't seem too high for leading. But anyways, 19 home runs, 97 RBIs this year with a 289 average and 852 OPS. Just insane numbers. And I was telling you about this the other day. Like, he was one of these guys where his defense was so good that the question was just, can he be average or above average hitting and he'll be elite? And so combined, the past from age 21 to age 24, so 4 seasons, roughly 1,300 at bats total. He had a combined 14 home runs in about 1,300 at bats. This year, 564 at bats, and he's already got 19 home runs. So he's got more home runs than previous years combined. He's driving in a ton of runs, 97 runs. His average is the highest, so it's not like he's like sacrificing the contact for the power.
Yeah.
And on top of that, his defense is the same defense that we're used to. So he
We
leads the shortstops in OPS, with Bobby Witt trailing by 4 points. And just overall, there's really not much else to say. His numbers are just off the charts, and I feel like nobody even like mentions his name. That's kind of the case for a lot of these Diamondbacks players. I don't really know why, because I mean they were just in the World Series a couple years ago, but like you could say the same. I'm not gonna have any of these guys in my list, but like Carroll, Ketel Marte is super underrated. Like these guys just need a lot more credit.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it too, the Diamondbacks are still hanging around in a playoff race right now. How much credibility there is to that is kind of up
Yeah.
in the air, but I think, I mean, and as I think everybody does, the Diamondbacks had a sell, and I think a lot of people just kind of took their pulse off of them. And even I was kind of wondering, like the Diamondbacks still hanging around, being above the Giants too. I was like, who on this team is like hitting for them right now? Because I just thought of,
Hmm.
Suarez and Naylor are gone. But yeah, I mean, a big three in Carroll, Perdomo, and Marte is one of the best in the league, probably. And those are still very big pieces in that offense. And Perdomo, I think, is definitely the most underrated of that group. But I think as a whole, the group is underrated, like you were
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, he's been really fun to watch. We had the Phillies Diamondbacks game on last night, and
Hmm.
I mean, just watching him on defense, he made two good plays in that game, and that was just
Yeah.
from what I saw. So, even getting the chance to see that was pretty cool. And yeah, it's been great to see the bat come around this year and him produce for that team. So that's
Hmm.
awesome. And he just signed an extension, I think, in the offseason.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah,
I would do want to do a quick shout out. So I got it up here. So he has 3 years service time. This will be his fourth year. He originally would have been a free agent, I believe, in 2027, and they signed him to a 4 year extension spanning from 26 through the 29 season. 4 years, 45 million. This was before this big breakout this year. So they hit it when it's right. Same thing they did for Corbin Carroll. Super smart in the Diamondbacks. They're making all the right moves for these young guys that are pre-arb. And they also have a 2030 team option, which is I don't see a world where you don't take that unless he falls off a cliff. So
yeah.
very, very good for the Diamondbacks front office there.
Real quick, they're 3 games back. The Reds are in front of them, and then the Mets are the ones who have the last spot. Do they get in? Yes or no?
I don't think so. 3 games with 9 or 10 games left is too tough. And the Mets, they were free falling, but now they've kind of transferred that energy to the Tigers. So now the Mets are picking it up, and yes,
Yeah, okay. All right. My first player is gonna be actually known favorite player of Travis from the Loose and Groovy Baseball Show. My number two second
yeah,
baseman heading into this season. I don't want to say I called it. I don't want to say that I'm right. I don't want to gloat around this too much,
It
but
sounds like you are. I don't know.
he's having a career year, and I just want everybody to know. Go back and watch our top 10 second baseman video, and I vouched for him way back in March, and here he is now. Nico Horner from the Cubs, you haven't known already yet. This guy's been balling out. A career year for him. 6.1 B WAR, that's ninth amongst all position players in the MLB, and 4.7 F WAR, which is 11th amongst all NL hitters. 98th percentile outs above average. That's kind of what Nico Horner's known for, is the glove at second base. Him and Dansby Swanson form one of the best defensive infields in the MLB. 100 percentile in K percentage. I didn't know this. He doesn't strike out really at all. Only 7% strikeout rate. The Cubs have actually been using him to lead off in more recent games, which is pretty cool. I don't think that's a bad option for a guy that doesn't strike out a lot. The full slash line for him this year, he's batting above 300, 350 on base, a 399 slug for a 749 OPS. So right around that average kind of OPS mark. But the batting average is well above average. You're just not really going to see a lot of power from him, which is totally okay. And I remember one of my arguments from the start of the season when I put him above some of the other second basemen in the league, which I don't even know if I could do that now with how good Jazz Chisholm's been this year. Could tell Marte is probably still, at the top of that list too. But what I liked about him a lot was how consistent he was. This is kind of the same Nico Horner we've seen from the previous 3 seasons, but this is actually kind of been his best season. But just what I liked so much about him was how consistent he is, and how valuable it is to know what you're going to get out of a player. When I think the MLB can be extremely volatile sometimes, and less so with hitters than like pitchers and such. But with him, it's always been the same story, and I like that, and I value that in a player a lot. So I just want to go through his F4 from his first full seasons. This is dating back to 2022. So 4.3 F4. 4.6 in 2023, 3.9 in 2024, and then this season so far he's at 4.7 with just about a week left. So just consistent 4 to 5 win season for Nico Horner here. And again, I would just continue to hone in how valuable I think that is to when you're setting up the lineup for the year, thinking about defense, you can put
Yeah.
Nico Horner down and put it in Sharpie because you don't need to really worry about him at all. So I'm really happy that he's been having a great year. Obviously, a big part of that Cubs team, and has kind of been through this transition period now between like the last time they made the postseason in 2020 to now going back again in 2025. So really happy for him. And yeah, that's my first player.
Put it in Sharpie because I like that.
Yeah, he's
Is that
solid.
off the dome?
What's up?
Is that off the dome? Did you
Yeah,
come up
right
with
off of here. I kind of felt good after I said it, and I was like, okay,
this?
I can kind of go with this. And then I think it sounded
Good.
nice, so I'm glad you picked up on that.
I like that, yes. I will say his B WAR is 6.2, so
Okay.
baseball reference favors him even more
Yeah.
defensively, I'm guessing. So yeah, I completely agree. I would say like I haven't seen a much of him in terms of like actually watching Cubs games because there's so much baseball going on, it's hard to watch every player. But to see a guy with a 300 batting average, which we know how rare that is. There's only, I think, 6 guys with the 300 or higher batting average in the MLB right now.
Yeah.
To see that along with elite defense at a middle infield position is you can't get much more value than that, and it's got to be so fun to watch. Like a guy that just gets up there, does not. He has 44 strikeouts this year. I think you already mentioned that, but just
Yeah.
crazy numbers. So
Hmm.
definitely very underrated, and I really don't think he's gonna get his flowers anytime soon because everybody's mindset has shifted so much towards the power department, but
Yeah.
maybe baseball will shift back there and he'll actually get his credit he deserves. But
It's actually interesting because I have my next guy is also a very high batting average guy, and he gets a little more credit than I think Nico
Mhm.
does. But maybe I don't know. I guess I kind of like batting average, even though a lot of people are, like you said, shifting away from that and more into like the power numbers. But
Yeah.
hopefully,
So my guy, I'm gonna go to pitching. I don't know what parameters we set in terms of
that's
if
all
we
right.
could do pitchers, but I'm picking Nick Pivetta. So
Mm,
the main reason I'm picking him is because I was like one of the biggest like doubters for Nick Pivetta. When he signed that 4 year, 55 mil contract with the Padres, I was like the biggest hater. Like, what are we doing? This guy, he's consistently been like a 4.2 to 4.5 ERA guy. Like, he does not deserve this type of money. And the big reason that he got that money was just his underlying numbers. And I will say his baseball savant is really not like crazy, but he's always had two of the biggest things that you look for in a pitcher that I would say. Strikeout percentage and walk percentage. If you can be good in both those departments, there's something going on that front offices need to look into because usually when you're good at strikeouts, you're going to walk more because you're throwing more balls out of the zone. Like breaking balls are going to break more. They're not going to be strikes.
Yeah.
However, he's been hovering between 75 percentile and 85 percentile in each of the past like 3 seasons on Baseball Savant in terms of K percentage and walk percentage. This year, his pitching run value is in the 99th percentile, fastball run value in the 99th percentile, and breaking run value in the 96th percentile. So just really good numbers. He started the season out, I think it was a sub two for a while, and then he kind of sputtered as any starting pitcher would, and then he's been picking it up more as of late with a 2.81 ERA with 13 and 5 record and a 5.4 WAR.
Mm.
He's also been a workhorse that the Padres have really needed. Without him, I don't think the Padres are in a playoff spot. I'm actually almost positive that they're not in a playoff spot. He's also got a .966 whip, and his FIP is 3.49. So it shows you that it's not just luck. I mean, that still is higher than his ERA, but
Yeah.
still shows that what he's doing is sustainable, and I'm excited to see it in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll say two quick things. So the first thing is, when I worked with the Kalamazoo Growlers this summer,
Hmm.
the former Growlers player that I think went to Virginia, he was drafted by the Red Sox with the comp pick that they got for Nick Pivetta when he turned down the qualifying offer. I think I told you about that.
Say it again. So you're
So a former Growlers player,
yes.
he went to Virginia. Growlers is a summer collegiate league.
Okay.
Um, he went to Virginia, played at Virginia. I think he played for the Growlers like 2 years ago now. In this last, like most recent draft, the Red Sox used the compensation pick they got for Nick Pivetta turning down the qualifying offer to draft that guy.
Really?
It was kind of like a cool mix of worlds for me where it was like, okay, I'm with the Growlers right now. And
Yeah.
oh, the Red Sox just used one of their picks from this big Nick Pivetta contract that, obviously they didn't get it, but now Pivetta's been really good in San Diego. And they're using that pick to take a guy that, played for an organization that I was working for. So I just thought that was kind of a cool
Wow,
thing.
that's awesome. I
That
don't think you told me that. You might
Yeah.
have in passing, but that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was just kind of a fun thing to be like, oh yeah, that's kind of like connecting the dots there. And then the other thing, Nick Pivetta, echoing everything you said, one of the best waiver wire pickups of my fantasy baseball season
Hmm.
this year. Didn't get drafted by anybody, and I think I picked him up like within the first couple weeks just for like a random start that I needed. And then I just kept him because he kept doing, I did it a couple times. I was like, hey, this guy's actually, delivering good starts. And there's not many guys. I feel like every single start, it was 6 or 7 innings and like close to double-digit strikeouts, like a very dependable guy. And it was week in, week out that I was seeing that. So, and
Yeah.
I know like fantasy baseball doesn't, but I guess, yeah, like you were saying from the Padres, it was cool. Like how viable like would that is to what they were doing this year with all the other question marks they've had around their rotation. I think you're totally right. I mean, without Pivetta in this
Hmm.
spot, I think it's a much different scenario in San Diego right now. Especially like think about how Pivetta influenced like their trade deadline stuff, like in my head, if Pivetta isn't there and they're struggling, do they buy Mason Miller and sell off a lot of prospects? Like the
King
ripple
is
effect of this is kind of
no.
insane.
I would say King is gone if you don't have Pivetta. With
Yeah,
the spot
even
that they would have been in.
Yeah, Cease could be gone too. He's a free agent at the end of the year
Yeah.
also. So I mean, it's crazy how much a contract like this can just change such a dynamic from a team. But I think that this is a scenario where it does do that. So I love that pick. Totally good with doing a pitcher too. I do have three batters. My next one is Trey Turner, who I wouldn't say it's like a super underrated year, but I do think he's kind of flying a bit under the radar for a couple different reasons. So he's another guy with a very high batting average. That's who I was alluding to earlier. He's currently second in baseball in hits. You know who's first, right?
In baseball,
Yeah.
Bo Bichette.
Yeah, Bo Bichette. So Bo Bichette leads. Trey Turner's in second. They've kind of been flip-flopping interchangeably. 6.7 F4, that's fifth in the entire MLB. And a large part of his WAR being higher this year is because of his defense. A kind of a big shock for a lot of people in the baseball world this year has been Trey Turner's defense. At least coming off the metrics and the defensive
Yeah.
things you see on Savant, he's in 99th percentile outs above average as a shortstop. Right now, the number is at 16 for his outs above average. For context, the previous 2 years it was at -3 and -6. So
But
this is like a 20-point swing here in outs above average, which is insane. It sounds like it's true. Like defensive metrics are usually always kind of tricky to tell, and a lot of times you go off the eye test. But from what it sounds like, it's legit. And now pairing this elite defense all of a sudden with that bat, he's become one of the better position players in the league and has been huge for the Phillies as they're they're in the playoffs. I think they may have clinched the NL East by now. I'm not really sure.
Mhm.
I think they did. But yeah, so another okay, out the average. And then yeah, I the other thing I added is he's still the fastest player in the game or one of the fastest players in the game, 100 percentile sprint speed. So impacting the bat, impacting the defense, and on the base paths. So kind of an all-around player, a guy you were a lot higher on heading into the season than I was. But he's really turned in a really good year for Philadelphia, and they need it. I mean,
Yeah.
um, having him, and hopefully he can get back healthy for the playoffs. I think he's still hurt right now,
Mhm.
but he's going to be a huge piece for them, and I hope the Phillies can finally get this done. I think the general thinking is this is kind of their last year to do it. But yeah, Turner I think will definitely be a big piece for them in the postseason, as they look to kindly finish the job here with the team they have.
Yeah, I completely agree. Hitting wise, I think he's doing all that he's expected to do and then some. Fielding wise, if you're a Phillies fan, this is such a pleasant surprise because I mean, in the past, he hasn't had like really any good defensive season. I'm looking on Savant. Um, I don't ultimate average -3 going from that to 16 this year in the 99th percentile is crazy. And
Hmm.
I remember I was talking to either you or Kev about this, but and I told my brother about this probably 4 years ago. I told him about this when I was like watching more the Nats and the Nats 2019 run and what was that like 6 years ago. So my thing was watching him hit, watching him run the bases, watching him slide, like he looks so like athletically gifted that it made no sense to me why his defense wasn't good. Like
Mm,
watching this guy, like the type of player that he is that we saw in the past, you look at him and you're like, he's got to be like a crazy good defender, and he just wasn't doing it
yeah,
and it was very surprising. So to see him now use that athleticism and be one of the best defenders in the game is awesome, and I love to see it. I am very curious, like what's clicked, if there's like a new like fielding coach that they have, or did somebody just like find something that he does consistently wrong that he could change?
yeah.
I'm curious what's changed, but I'm very happy, and I think this is here to stay because I think he's crazy talented.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. All right, get us final players for each of us. You want to give us your third guy?
My third guy, he had a lot of hype um, a few years ago, 2 years ago. But last year with a down season, um, a lot of the people on his bandwagon kind of jumped off, and it doesn't help that they sputtered last year. This year they're even worse. So I have an Atlanta Brave. It's Matt Olson. So this
Hmm,
year he leads league in doubles with 40,
wow.
28 home runs, 93 RBI. So he's not hitting as many home runs. However, um, in replacement of that, he's hitting for a high average, a 280 average with an
Wow.
869 OPS and a 143 OPS plus. The thing about Matt Olson that I love the most, he the past 4 years, including this year, he's led the league in games played.
Hmm.
Each of the past 3 seasons, he's played 162 games. He does not take a single day off. I don't know a player on the Tigers that like once a week I'll just see Torkelson get a random day off, even if he's not even hurt or anything. Olson must be telling the manager like don't even like I do not want to sit at all. Maybe that like gets him out of his rhythm, whatever. But just to see that consistency, it's crazy. It goes back to 2018. He led the league in 2018. 2019 he missed 30 games. That's the most he's missed. Led the league in 2020 with all 60 games for the COVID,
Hmm.
156, and then led the league 4 years straight. It's I love it. I know that I'm kind of getting off track here because that's not his actual like hitting numbers, but just to see how well he's done with a 6.1 WAR and elite defense as he always does. He's 95th percentile with 9 outs above average. And if you look at his Savant, it's beat red in terms of all the barrel statistics. So just a very, very good player. That I don't think even when he was in his prime, when he was hitting 50 plus home runs, I don't think he was getting the credit he deserves.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at his contract right now. He'll be an Atlanta Brave potentially all the way up until 2031. So
Wow.
combining that with what you were saying about the games played, and it's kind of, I mean, it's 8 million, 8 year, $168 million. So honestly, kind of, it's like 20 million a year on the payroll.
Yeah,
So if you ask
steal.
me, a guy that first baseman that plays every day and to Matt
Mhm.
Olson's caliber, that's a classic Atlanta Brave contract where
Yeah.
they nail down these superstars for long term and it's for pretty cheap usually. So, all right, well, wrapping us up, I'm going to Kansas City for my last one. This is Michael Garcia, another member of Team Travis in fantasy baseball, another valued member as well. 5.1 F4, that's seventh amongst AL hitters this season. That's also second amongst all third basemen in the MLB. Do you know who number one is? He broke your heart a couple days ago.
Leaders in what? What was it?
Third baseman war.
Ooh. Oh, it's J Ram.
Yep, J Ram. So he's one, and Michael Garcia is two. So I think putting those two next to each other kind of gives you perspective on how good Michael Garcia has been. The biggest thing is a 200 OPS increase from last season. Kind of a guy that was not able to find it with the bat for the first couple seasons of his career, but this has been his breakout year, kind of his coming out, and he's been really good. So for the full slash line, 286 average, a 351 on base, 454 slug for an 805 OPS. Just a very even slash line all around. Going to give you the power, going to give you the on base as well. And an 805 OPS is very respectable. And the defense at a premium position has been great too. 98th percentile now, it's above average. And it's been great to see him have a breakout year. And I kind of want to transition this into a really quick conversation about the Royals because the Royals are pretty much I think they're pretty much out of playoff contention
Yep.
by now. And a lot of the discussion with the Royals heading into this year, and I think between us two on the show, was the Royals just need like, I always hear it's Bobby Witt Jr.'s bat, like Bobby Witt Jr. is the Batman, you need your Robin, right, to go with him.
Yeah, definitely.
And with the emergence of Vinny Pasquantino, which you could probably debate how valuable his year has been, but he hit 30 home runs. Like, I mean, that's valuable and no
Yep.
matter what way you cut it. And now Mike Garcia, who's another very solid hitter in that lineup. I it's tough for me to now get over this hump with the Royals where, oh, imagine they had more guys other than Bobby Witt. Like, it's not just Bobby Witt Jr. anymore to me. And I think that's the biggest concern where it's like, okay, you had players, step up this year and start to perform. You have the support for Bobby Witt Jr., and you're still going to fall short this year. And I know they did make the
Yeah.
playoffs last year, and actually, they beat Baltimore, right? That's what it was in last year's
Yeah.
playoffs.
I think
Um,
they shut them out both games, or maybe
Correct.
one run total for Baltimore.
So, I mean, that was, they made it last year, so I guess that's fine. But still, I think there's this sense of, waiting until the Royals, finally get over that hill, right? And can kind of be a perennial playoff team each year. And this year, I'm kind of just left disappointed because I think they had the pieces and they just couldn't get it together. So I just want to ask if you had any, like, thoughts on that or if you have anything.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, so last year it was the Bobby Witt show, nobody else. However, last year, and I know you've already thought about this probably, but last year their rotation was like one of the best.
Yeah.
Probably the first or second best to maybe the Mariners in the AL. This year, Reagan's hurt, Lugo not as good. Waka doesn't get any, he gets the least amount of run support. Like rotation wise, it has not lined up as well. And on top of that, Bobby Witt has taken a step back. But I still think their offense, yeah, I agree with you. Like this year, there's more guys to point to for offensive production. But I ultimately just think it goes down to the starting rotation and what's happened with that.
Yeah, so Chris Bubich is another guy that went down earlier this year. He
Yeah.
was really good at the start. And it looks like Lugo's on the 15-day IL. I don't know when he went down with that. I think that was more recently though. But then also Lucas Erceg, Hunter Harvey also on the IL right now, two of your
Yeah.
back end bullpen arms. So it could be injuries too. But again, I think like you said, Bobby Witt Jr. is also probably a big part of that and how he's not Superman Bobby Witt Jr. as he was last year. And while he is still really good, there is going to be a little bit of a difference there, I think, which is
Yeah.
what you're seeing.
And quick shout out, Noah Cameron has been amazing.
Yes. Yeah,
So
that's the Southpaw rookie, right? There.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
They're between Bubich and Cameron and just the way that they can develop starting pitching talent. I still think the future is bright, and like you said, if they can continue to develop these Robins, these
Yeah.
multiple Robins between Pascantino, Garcia, After that, it does fall off fast between those three main guys.
Yeah.
But like, who knows? Maybe Isbell will take a step up next year or whoever else they got going. But
Well, and I always point to Jack Caglione, who I was kind of hoping would be a bit more of a performer in the latter half of this season for them and kind of get them there. But
you
he's been struggling, I think, a bit this year. Very young, a lot of swing and miss, which is fine. But
know,
even he could become like almost at the same tier with Bobby Witt Jr. next year, hopefully. So I like that. Still optimistic, but definitely feeling like a little bummed about this year because I think they had a lot of good things going. And speaking of guys who've hit 30 home runs, we mentioned Vinny Pasquantino. Matt Olson is almost there. How many guys have hit 30 home runs this year? We always keep joking now with the 30 home run graphics, and it's you get a 30 home run season, you get a 30 home run
yeah.
season. It's kind of all these different guys. It's like every other day you're seeing guys hit the big 3-0 on the season. So what I wanted to do is just go through the list of guys who've hit 30 home runs, and then kind of also mention some of the guys in that 29 to 27 range. And we'll just kind of talk a little bit about it and just kind of see some funny names that you may have not thought of. So, going from the top down, Cal Raleigh, Schwarber, we already talked about them. Then you have Otani, Judge, Eugenio Suarez, Junior Caminero, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Joe Adell, 36 this year for the Angels. Riley Green, Taylor Ward, 33 for the Angels. Trent Grisham's up to 33. Buxton, first 30 home run season for him. He's at 31. Devers, Julio Rodriguez, Salvador Perez. That's crazy to me.
Wow.
Um,
I did not know that. Salvi? Sorry,
yeah.
he what?
Springer hit 30 this year. He's been incredible. Brent Rooker, we just watched Jazz Chisholm hit his 30th last night. Shea Langoliers just hit his 30th. Corbin Carroll, Torque hit his 30th yesterday. Pasquantino, who we mentioned. Hunter Goodman of the Rockies hit his 30. So we're up to 24 guys now that are up to 30 home runs with about a week left. On the outside looking in, you have Yelich at 29, Jose Ramirez 29, Bellinger, Lau, Michael Bush, PCA, who's been probably at 28 for 2 months now. Matt Olson, who you said, Willie Adames is 28. Harper, Lindor, Arozarena, James Wood, and Seiya Suzuki are all at 27.
Mm.
So still a lot of guys so far, and still a lot that could get it. I think the most shocking to me is either Joe Adell or Trent Grisham, especially because of how high they are up on this leaderboard.
Yeah.
Um, Joe Adell is cool to see because I think the power's always been there, but the consistency at the plate has definitely been lacking. And I don't even think his year is like that incredible. He's really just got the home run ball in his arsenal, and that's fine. But 36 for him, I think, is incredible. Junior Caminero, I love 44 home runs. He's had an incredible year. I'm really happy to see that, and I think he's only really going to get better. Salvi, I would never have told you Salvador Perez had 30 home runs this season. That's awesome to see, just especially because he's getting on the older side, a veteran, but still hitting it with the best of them. Um, yeah, there's a lot of interesting ones on this list. Do you have any player that takes you anywhere?
Well, I'm more looking at the overall picture. The fact that you listed all the way up until 27 home runs, right?
Yeah,
The fact that there's realistically 34, or was it more than 34? They were tied for 34. There's like almost 40 players that realistically could have 30 home runs at the end of this year, and it
yeah.
wouldn't be crazy. Like that blows my mind. I'm looking last year. How many last year do you think had 30 home runs or more?
25?
20.
20.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Let me look at 2023. So you could have double the amount of 30 home runs
From
as they did last year. And I don't think really much has like changed. Like I feel like pitching hasn't been that much worse. 2023 there was 26 players with 30 or more home runs. Just
we, we've already
wow.
surpassed that and then some from
Yeah, exactly. I would say the one that sticks out to me the most, probably judging by my reaction, was Salvi. But I'll go somewhere else for this. Yeah, I don't think Joe
Sal.
Adell,
Yeah.
36. He could have 40 home runs. That blows my mind.
Or I would think Torque too, like because
Yeah.
we talked a lot about him, and at the start of the season, I was going back when I was making some clips or whatever. I was watching our AL prediction video, and I came across your little bit on the Tigers with Torque, and you were saying how he looked good in spring training, but you weren't going to fall for that again this year. Like
Yeah.
the change in perspective on Torque to where like going from that to now being at 30 home runs and putting together a pretty good season, I
Yeah.
think that's pretty incredible. Just especially from last year, like all the ups and downs of that, like I think good for him.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. He's been a just like Trey Turner, a very pleasant surprise this year.
Yeah.
All around though, not just I mean defensively he's not great, but hitting wise to have an 800 OPS for a guy that we didn't even know was going to make the spring training, make it out of spring training, like going into the season.
Yeah.
I love it. So very happy.
And I think Trent Grisham, I want to touch on him a little bit more. Last year in 76 games with the Yankees, he had a 190 batting average, 290 on base, and a 385 slug. He's bumped all those numbers up, striking out less, walking more. And like I said, the 33 home runs I think is insane for a three F4 season. So good for him because the Yankees I think would also be in a lot different spot if they didn't have him. He's kind of maybe filled the void of Soto just a little bit, along with some of
Mhm.
the other pieces there. Speaking of torque, do you want to move on to a little bit of our Tigers talk?
Yeah, let's yeah.
Okay, so to set the stage a little bit here, if you haven't looked at the AL Central standings in the past week or so, you'll find the Guardians are a lot closer than you may have remembered to overtaking the Tigers in this division. They're 2.5 games back as of today. We're recording on Saturday the 20th, like I said. They have won four in a row. That includes a three-game sweep of the Tigers in Detroit. And the most crucial part of this is the next series is another series between these two teams in Cleveland. Right? In
Yeah.
Cleveland? Yeah. So what happened to be what went from a division that was all but locked up for most of the season is now going to be one of the more contested races here as we wrap up the season. Parker, as a Tigers fan, has been kind of glued in on all of this, and I wanted to kind of pick his brain about this and get what his thoughts are. And the other thing to think about too, and something Parker keeps mentioning, is that second seed for the first round bye. Obviously, the Tigers going to be contending that mostly between the Mariners and the Astros, and they're playing a series this weekend as well. So with that, and then you're also thinking about now the Guardians here. Where are your thoughts going? Do you have any confidence? Do you still have confidence? Has the team looked good enough in the second half? Are the Guardians going to overtake them? Just kind of, what do you got to say?
I still have confidence that we're going to win the division. I don't think the two seed is. I mean, obviously it's within reach. We're tied with the Mariners. They have the tiebreaker. We do have to pass them, but yeah, I still think we're going to win the division. Obviously, I'm terrified because we're 2.5 games up. The Guardians have a doubleheader today against the Twins. They can sweep the Twins and go to whatever it is, game and a half or whatever behind of us, going into a series against us, which we saw how that went this past series. So I'm definitely terrified. And like I don't know if this is what scares me the most, but it's not like there's anything to point the finger at in terms of injuries. A lot of the times teams are sputtering. It's like, okay, there's guys that are injured, like just wait until they get back. We had Reese Olson and Joe Bout the whole year, and we were doing good without them for a long time.
Yeah.
Parker Meadows was out, we were doing great without him. Now, yeah, Finnegan went out for a little bit. Okay. Um, we've had like everybody. That's why it's like terrifying. Like I think I told you this yesterday. I was talking to my brother about it. The acquisitions of Morton and Paddock, who we could have seen this coming from a mile away. 13.77 or 10.77 ERA since we acquired them at the deadline. Like
Hmm.
nothing's really changed. We've got worse at the deadline because we're playing these guys that are not bringing any value. And I don't know. If you look at the past 30 days, so roughly like 26 games ish, the Tigers are, let's see what their ERA is. So while they're fifth in losses in the MLB with 16 losses, and in terms of ERA, they are 24th with a 4.97 ERA. In terms of hitting stats in the last 30 days, the Tigers are 20th at a 702 OPS. So in the first half, they were top five in the AL in both ERA and OPS. Now they're bottom five, bottom 10 in the MLB in both of those stats. So
Yeah.
just nothing's been clicking. Hitting hasn't clicked. When our starting pitchers seem to have some good outings, like Flaherty, the past two outings have been good. we'll score like 0 or 1 run maybe and then lose the game anyways. Scuba, we've been losing a lot of his games lately. Just lots of frustration, and the Guardians just seem to have the opposite of they seem to have a lot of mojo right now, and they seem to be getting lucky, but that could just be like my perspective because I'm just a salty Tigers fan right now. But I don't know. Very frustrating. They need to start getting some wins here soon. We play the Red Sox and the Guardians coming up next, so I not feeling great, but I still think we're gonna pull the division out, and I hope we don't pull this clip out in 2 weeks and have me look like a clown because I said that. But
To play the narrative game a little bit, and I asked you this the other day, comparing last year to this year, which I don't know if that's fair to do, but I feel like that's the natural thing to want to do
Mhm.
based off what happened last year. Do you think any of it has to do last year? It was the improbable, like very low percentage, like incredible last like 40 games or so to fight their way into the playoffs. At that point, anything they were doing that last month was house money, right?
Yeah.
They were, bad all year, weren't doing anything, and then they go on this incredible run, and now you're in. And I think, well, we weren't supposed to be here, but now we're here. Let's go have some fun. Like, let's just see what we can do with this thing. And I think now, and I don't want to say like, they had the great start, got out so far ahead in the division and made themselves, or they appeared to be one of the best teams in the league, right? Do you think any of that has to do with the pressure of that now, where the expectation of, okay, we're not just like this scrappy, young, like energetic team anymore. We're supposed to be one of the best teams in the league. I Do you think any of that has to do with this, where there's that looming expectation now where, hey, we're up there with the big dogs and now we gotta play like it. Like, is that, do you think, something from this kind of like just bad second half? And I don't want to say collapse because I don't think they're collapsing, but just this kind of slow downward tilt here to now the point that we're at now.
Yeah, I would. In my mind, I don't know how much that actually affects like baseball players. Like they're if you ask them, they'd be like, yeah, we're just going out every day trying to win and
Yeah.
just we just haven't been able to do it. But I would agree. Like last year, like you said, house money, you're comfortable because like what could go wrong? You lose, we don't make the playoffs. Okay, nobody expected us to make the playoffs. What does it matter? We get in the playoffs. Okay, they're not gonna do anything. They got in, like congrats. The Astros are gonna like wipe you guys away. What's there to lose? Like just go and play ball. Like everybody's young. Nobody has any experience besides Matt Vierling was like the only one with any experience last year in the playoffs. And then this year, yeah, I agree. Like high expectations. We're expected to go out there and play consistently like a first place team, like we've showed the whole first 3 quarters of the season. And then now to see like a little bit of pressure and to like have those expectations,
Yeah.
it's got to be getting to their head a little bit. And I don't know, like, is the remedy like, do you think a 2 game win streak or a 3 game win streak could solve all this? Probably not, but like, if we can get any momentum at all going into the postseason, if we even make it, first of all, but then I'll be happy. But
Yeah.
I I agree.
I guess the other thing to think about, I mean, I think if they lose the division, there obviously still is the chance for the wild card spot, which is so weird to say, the Tigers being a wild card team this year, but that is a reality we have to kind of think about now. Um, but yeah, I think because the Guardians are still on the outside looking in right now. Like they still have been playing really good, but as it stands, they're not in the playoffs right now. That last wild card spot is still held by whatever team's in second in the ALS on whatever given day. So it's such a weird balance. This is what always so interesting with division and wild cards is you have now the Guardians are very, very close to the division, but they're also just as close to the wild card now as well. So it's a weird mix of you can make so many different combinations, I think, right now of who gets in and who gets left out. And just thinking about the Tigers, like being on the outside of that is not something that I think
Mhm.
I wouldn't even have imagined. I couldn't have. And you could have told me how hot or how bad the Tigers and Guardians could have been in this last month or so. I would have never said it got to this point where it's like
Yeah.
we're having this talk about who's going to win the AL Central, right? Um,
I'll give the stat I told you, but at one point we were 15 and a half games up in the AL Central. So if we lose it, it will be the biggest collapse in terms of games up to end up losing the division ever, with the next one being long time ago. I think it was like the Mets, and they had like a 13 and a half game lead. So this will be the biggest, like most improbable collapse. if they do lose this.
Yeah, quite the opposite from last year. Pretty much the polar
It just
opposite.
it's crazy.
So if I asked
And
you right now if they're gonna, do you think they got the Central, or like if you
I
had to,
do.
yeah,
And honestly, if we don't win the Central, I don't think we make the playoffs because it's wild. We're literally tied for second place in the American League. Like we have the two seed. If
yeah,
we had the tiebreaker right now, which I know that's a lot to say over the Mariners, we would have the two seed. Like that's how bunched up all these teams are. And if it even comes down to the question of we're losing the division, okay, that means we lost two of the three, or at least we got swept by the Guardians. So we got a lot of losses there. I think more than likely we fall out of the wild card because they would replace us. We would pile the losses on, and then like the Red Sox, all these other teams would be ahead of us. So
right.
if we don't win the division, I don't think we win the playoffs or
Hmm.
get in the playoffs.
It'll definitely be interesting to see. It's going to make for a really exciting last week of baseball. I mean, for me as a White Sox fan, obviously, like this is the stuff that
Nerve-wracking.
yeah, I'm gonna be glued on to, but from a distance because I just get to enjoy some fun baseball games now. And it's always fun when you get postseason baseball games during the regular season, which is a lot of what we're seeing right now. So it's gonna be a really exciting week. The next time you see us, I think we might be doing our playoff prediction video. I think we'll kind of be around that time, or we'll do a little week off and then make a video for that, which is super exciting. I remember when we did ours last year, and I had a lot of fun doing that. So we'll get to do that again with the bracket when it is finalized. That'll be the next time you see us. So as we're kind of talking about all this stuff, it'll be funny to look back and see what happens. But yeah, if you don't want to miss out from us, follow us on all of our social medias at Loose and Groovy Baseball Show. Daily content comes out on there, whether it's clips from this show or me just talking about whatever random stuff I see. So definitely be sure to be tuned into that. It's going to be a really exciting end of the season as we go into October and postseason baseball as we head towards the Fall Classic, which I know we're both super excited for. Going to be a lot of content coming out for that, so be sure to follow along with us. Signing off for episode 37, me and Parker. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.